Hello and welcome, I'm Kayla Scribner, and today I'm going to be giving a 5-star prediction, and I'm very excited. I've never done one of these simply because I'm very frugal with my 5 stars, as in I have read 668 books as of date, and only 41 of those have been 5 stars, which is about 6%. So we're going to give these, and I actually discovered something very surprising while actually researching and writing down these books. I was going through them and I was like, wait, all of these have the same theme, which is a theme that I really love, which is lifetime stories, or at least stories that take place over a matter of years, where I'm able to grow and they're character focused and all of that jazz. I just love it and eat it up. So my first book on here is The Girl with the Loud Bling Boys. This is by Abby Dare, and I have never heard about this anywhere, but I saw it and I was just immediately drawn to it, and then I read the synopsis and it was in love. And I don't know why I love this book so much, but it's about a Dune, and she's a 14-year-old Nigerian girl in contemporary Nigeria, and she wants what she wants, and that is an education. And this is the way her mother told her: you get a loudling voice, you get heard, and her voice will not be muted if she is an educated woman. And this leads her to run away. It leads her to a life of servitude and a life of just struggle and trauma, but I believe that she is going to have an empowering ending, and I am very excited about it. I don't know, something just inside me cries out to read the book. So I really hope it's going to be 5-star, or at least a 4-star. This is kind of my prediction that even if these aren't going to be 5 stars, they will definitely be darn close. And then we have my second one, which is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is a very interesting novel, and I'm not really actually wanting to read it for the reason of entertainment or enjoyment. It's more education in that way that I have a counseling background and I work as a counselor informally to a lot of people, and a lot of people I have worked with have dealt with sexual trauma and have kind of had to replace and re-deal with how does consent work in there, and how do their relationships end up abuse, because that's something that a lot of people live in, relationships that are unhealthy and manipulative, and they don't actually see it until they're done, and then they're dealing with the trauma of that. And I've had to work through that with many people. So this book takes place in 2000 and also 2017, and it takes place and looks at this girl who has what she believes a consensual relationship with her high school teacher, and then 17 years later he is being charged with dozens of sexual abuse charges, and she has to replace what she thought as consensual and love and actually realize that was abuse. And I'm very interested to see this in a psychological point of view. I believe that it's going to be very hard, but I've also heard that the way that it is written is with the recognition that you are never really able to sympathize with him. Instead, she kind of took what she had seen as Lolita in her childhood and flipped it around, so you actually give her a voice, and you're never able to sympathize with the villain of the story. You realize that even though she sees him a certain way, that's not the way that he actually is. And she did a lot of research into trauma and into PTSD, and I'm very interested to devour that, because I think that even though I have done tons of research, reading from someone's point of view who has gone through this but also researched about it, that you can understand more through fiction sometimes than you can through nonfiction because of people's voice and experiences. And then we have 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. The Kite Runner has long been on the tops of my favorite list, and this one should have been there as well, but I've never finished it. I read the first 2-3 chapters, was blown away by the first page. I was freaking in love. This is about an Afghani girl who was born outside of marriage and her story. I don't know much more than that other than it is written by him, and he is a powerful writer and deals with a lot of just really important themes. And I've been putting this off for way too long, and I am almost sure that it will be a 5-star. So I'm excited, and this is kind of also informal TBR because now I have to get to these books. And then we have The Heart's Invisible Furies. This is by John Boyne, and this is a book that has come to me very recently through Murphy Napier. She reviewed it, and it's a book that she doesn't normally like to pick up, which is a slow, story-based character that starts with him, Cyril, before he's even born. And his mother is in Ireland, and it's 1940s, and she is an unwed, soon-to-be mother, and she gives her boy up to adoption, and the family that he's adopted into, the Averys, make point that he is not an Avery. He is an adopted man, and it really follows his story until contemporary times, which is one of my favorite tropes. I love lifestyle stories where we go into mid-century, into seeing them now, and it deals with his identity, with his sexuality, and so many other facets of society and growing as the generations have changed, and I'm very excited to read this book. And then we have Normal Peoples by Sally Rooney, and I think that this is only appropriate because I got this inspiration to finally do a video like this after watching Ariel Bassett's, and this is one that I found, like, I'd heard about it before, but really, like, hit my interest, like, today when I was watching Books Unbound podcast that she does, and this is a book that starts with these couple in high school, and then it follows them for like 4 to 5 years as they go through college and life and experiences, and you see them grow. And this is something that I love. I love stories that pass throughout generations, and especially when relationships, like, I love seeing how change impacts relationships and dynamics, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm gonna freaking love this book. And it's contemporary, and they break up, they get back together, they change, their life situations are changed. I just think I'm gonna love this. And then we have The World We Found, and this is like the quintessential book that I've been meaning to read, and I think I will love. So this is by Thridi Yumagar, probably still butchering that years later, and this has been on so many DVRs. This takes place in the late 1970s in Bombay, and these are university students that there's 5 of them, and they are unconventional, they are spirited, they are willing to face authority and change the world. And then it takes place 30 years later as they reconnect, as one of them is ill, and they are reminiscing and reconfronted with the dreams that they had as young college students and how they didn't really realize those things, and the world that they found is so much different than the worlds they hoped to change. And I don't know, something that hits me as, like, you know, in my 20s, in the time of change and dreams, and to look at what will my life be in 30 years, what do these characters look like in 30 lives, and just, I think that this is like almost the quintessential book of like, how do we change, how do we start out as someone and end up as someone else. And I feel like that changes all the time, but over 30 years that is so large. Anyways, these are 6 books that I think are going to be 5 stars, or at least high 4 stars. So I would love to hear which books you think are 5 stars. If you have recommendations of like long-lasting stories, dynamic, character-driven stories, let me know, because I need more of these in my life. Anyways, happy reading and writing and all that jazz, and I will talk to you very soon.